here's the thing. For everybody listening, don't make the same mistake the Bengals just did in any facet of your life.
People are going to get hurt. It's the hockey season.
What about the Jared Cook play on the sideline?
I was very tempted to just put defense.
I'm saying it right now. If Anthony Davis is out for the playoffs, they don't make it out of the first round.
Come on, Austin and I have been saying this ever since Joe Burrow got injured.
I don't really think the Dodgers are going to make the World Series this year. I feel like they'll make it to the NLCS.
The Fernando Tatis extension, because that really surprised me.
Like you said, Ovechkin, he's getting older. He hasn't been playing as well as I imagined. He's one of the greatest goal scorers of all time, but he hasn't started off this season as hot as I would hope.
Hi, I'm Jeff Allen, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. It is finally here. Football is back. Tomorrow we have Thursday night. Then you also have a Friday night game. But before we can talk about those games, we got to do our season predictions. And the man that apparently has a controversial, or at least to me, Cowboys pick that I do not know of, Austin.
Yeah, Kevin, this is going to be an interesting year. We said before when we were doing our Super Bowl or bust that this is a year that that we both believe is going to be an open one that has a lot of contenders, and that definitely is going to be close. I think for a lot of divisions are going to be close. There's some that I do think are bad and not close. I think we both know which one that is, but we'll see how this year ends up turning out. I definitely think that the teams that do end up winning their division will be really good, but there are going to be some ones that sink into the playoffs. I'm not even that high on myself.
Yeah, I do have. I was debating who gets the 7 seed. So of course we do seeds, and the predictions will be there will be a winner from this at the end of the season. And then for fun, we have some playoff predictions. We do believe this, but we're not going to penalize ourselves for predictions. We're only going to applaud ourselves if we get it right.
Yeah, and that's for playoffs. Yeah, like you said. So let's get right into it. Which division do you want to start with first? And I'll let you go first as well.
Well, I'll go NFC West. To me, it's easily from a prediction based and belief. Niners are going to be winning the division. Then it gets a little bit tricky. I have Rams at number 2, Seahawks at 3, and then Cardinals at 4.
Okay, so you and I are a little bit different, and I do have records with mine, so that does. Kevin didn't need to, and I just did it for fun. It's not anything added. I have 49ers at 1, Rams at 2, Cardinals at 3, Seahawks at 4.
So you and I have the same top 2 with Niners, Rams.
Yes.
Okay. And then we disagree. Seahawks are tricky to me. They have a new coaching staff. I like their players. It's just, are they more of what they were last year or the year before when Geno was on fire?
We'll see.
Yeah. So now I'll let you choose the next one.
Let's stay in the NFC and let's do the NFC North.
Okay, the NFC North, very exciting. But since this is your division, I'll let you talk.
Oh, also for the records, I said I included them, which I did, but I forgot to say them. So Niners, I have 13-4. I have the Rams at 10-7. I have the Cardinals at 8-9, and I have the Seahawks at 4-13. But for the NFC North, I have the Lions at 1 at 13-4. I have the Packers at 2 at 13-4. I had the Bears at 3 in the division at 7-10, and I had the Vikings at 2-15.
Oh, wow. So we agree on the top 2 once again. Lions at 1, Packers at 2. This one got tricky. I remember I was very high on the Bears last year, and that, of course, did not work out well for me. And the Vikings, I have Vikings at 3. The Vikings, I feel like they have a good team. The problem is their quarterback. And with J.J. McCarthy going down, that was their plan. I don't really know much about Sam Darnold. I believe in the coaching staff. And then the Bears, I have at 4. I think they have the players, but I trust the Vikings coaching staff more than I trust the Bears coaching staff.
I agree with that. I just feel like the situation is so poor in Minnesota. I could see this being a really bad year.
Yeah, and I think if you're a Vikings fan, you wouldn't hate that because then you get a choice of the quarterback. I don't think if you're two, you're in competition for a top 5 spot in the draft, and there are some really intriguing quarterbacks. So we saw what the Cardinals did. They drafted Josh Rosen 1 year. And of course, there was the injury to JJ McCarthy, but you could always go to quarterbacks. Especially, I wouldn't be shocked if the Vikings did that, but that is very far off. Okay. But NFC North, I'm very intrigued because I do think the Packers have a chance of winning it. But I do give deference to the Lions, but I also think it'd be a Lion thing if they faltered.
Yeah, but this is a new team, new organization, really. It feels like. We'll obviously see how that works out, but I do believe that the new culture has been implemented and implemented correctly.
Yeah, and it's worked out, and I'm excited to see what happens in the NFC North. And now, since we did your team, I'll go to my team. This one, NFC East. The Eagles, I have at 1. Cowboys, I have at 2. Washington, I have at 3. And Giants at 4. Cowboys feels high to me, but I don't trust the Giants or Washington to compete for that second spot. I feel like the Cowboys will be good, but it's the problem hasn't been the regular season. It's been the postseason.
So I actually had the Cowboys winning the division, and I have it being extremely, extremely close. So there's a NFL Predictor website where you can choose who wins every game and make sure you have the right records to supplement where the teams are. I have the Cowboys at 1 at 10-7. I have Washington at 2 at 9-8. I have Philly at 3 at 9-8, and I have the Giants at 4 at 2-15.
Okay. Washington, it depends on Jaden Daniels and sort of the offensive aspect.
Well, you did, if you remember on my awards prediction, I did have him winning Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yes, that was a good point. Eagles, so I'm going with there's never going to be a repeat. The Cowboys winning would be a repeat, and that would end the streak since 2003 of the no team getting back-to-back NFC East championships. I do feel like the Eagles bounce back, but I could be wrong. And we'll just have to see what happens. It's going to be it's going to be close, but not because every team is amazing. It's because every team can have highs, but also some lows.
Yeah, you said it perfectly.
Now let's go to the NFC South.
So for the NFC South, I have the Falcons at 1 at 12-5. I have the Panthers at 2 at 9-8. I have the Bucks at 3 at 8-9, and I have the Saints at 4 at 3-14.
Okay, so I agree. Falcons at winning the division. They've just put so much into this team, and it could fail, but I don't think it fails. I have the Bucks at 2. I do think Baker in that offense takes a step back, but I don't see the Panthers being better than them because their offense is going to be better, but I'm just not sure if it's going to be better than the Bucks. I really like the Bucks defense. And then we agree on Saints being last. It's the Panthers have a direction, Bucks have a direction. Almost every team in the league has a direction. I don't really understand the direction of the Saints. It's really mediocre. It's not always great or we're tanking. It's we're here and we're competing, which I'm sure is fun as a fan, but can be also frustrating because you're like, we don't have all this because we're trying to compete now.
Yeah, you make a good point.
Okay, so we only disagree on Bucks and Panthers. You're a high believer in the offense for the Panthers, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now I'll let you go to the AFC.
So let's start with the AFC North, and I'll let you go first.
So this one, I think everyone's going to be above 500, and you'll realize that based on who I have last. I have the Ravens at 1, Bengals at 2, Browns at 3, and Steelers at 4.
You and I slightly disagree. We do. Just I think we don't have anyone in the same spot. But we disagree slightly on the no one is below 500. I have the Bengals at 1 at 14-3. I have the Ravens at 2 at 13-4. I have the Steelers at 3 at 9-8, and I have the Browns at 4 at 8-9.
Okay. I said there, since I have the Steelers last, to me they're not going to be below 500. That's why I have everyone being it. Because I do. The only problem with the Browns is the quarterback position. I trust their defense.
Which is extremely important, though.
I know. But they got by with it last year. I know.
Well, that's almost because he got hurt.
That's true. So that one's tough. It's really going to be. It's debatable. It's open on what Russell Wilson does as the quarterback with the Steelers. So I just thought the Browns would be better because I really like that defense. Ravens, I think, are still a very good team, but it's going to be close between the Bengals and them because the Bengals are great as well.
Yeah.
All right. So what AFC division do you want to go to now?
We'll go to the AFC East. Very close division. I have Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Patriots, and then I have it 11-6, 11-6, 11-6, 1-16.
Looks like we're in agreement. I have Bills 1, Dolphins 2, Jets at 3, and then Patriots. Patriots, it was easy to know that they're going to be last, just given everything they're going through. They have a direction they're building for the future. Man, I was really debating about. I do think the Bills could not win the division, just because the Bills always seem to be having problems. We talked about Sean McDermott and the questions of Josh Allen. The Dolphins are still a good team, but they did lose a lot of pieces. They lost Christian Wilkins on defensively. And then the Jets, it's always tough given Aaron Rodgers and his injury.
Yeah, totally.
So you have them all at 11-6. So you believe the Bills come out in the head-to-head matchups?
Yeah, I have it here, like I said, on that playoff predictor site, and with all them being 11-6, the Bills go through as the winner of the division.
All right. So that completes the AFC East. How about we go to the AFC South?
Okay. The AFC South, I have the Colts at 1 at 13-4. I have the Texans at 2 at 12-5. I have the Jaguars at 3 at 10-7, and I have the Titans at 4 at 5-12.
Okay, so we're gonna disagree on the winner of this. Why do you have the Colts at 1?
They have an easier schedule, and I do think this team is still really good. I think if AR stays healthy all year, their offense is going to be lethal, and they still have some of the best defensive players in the league. We mentioned their linebacking core and some of their other things. I like the situation. I like their head coach. I mean, they won. They almost made the playoffs last year with Gardner Minshew as their quarterback.
Okay, so I have them last. I'll say that. I don't trust their offense right now with AR. There's still question marks for me on his health and also his ability as the quarterback, but it is going to be tough. And this division to me, so I have Texans as 1. I have Jaguars at 2. They're a inconsistent team. We've talked about the year when they won the division and made it to the playoffs. They were almost a few weeks out, not going to miss it, and then they had that hot streak. Then they were the leaders in the AFC South last season, and then they fell. So they're going to be a borderline team for me. Then I have the Titans at 3. I really like what they've done, and I trust Will Levis. I don't think he'll have the highs of Anthony Richardson, but I also don't think he'll have the lows of Anthony Richardson, which is his health. So that's why I had the Titans over the Colts.
Okay.
And now we are down to the reigning Super Bowl champs division, the Chiefs.
I'll let you go first.
So in the AFC West, we have I have the Chiefs at 1. I have the Broncos at 2, Raiders at 3, and Chargers at 4.
Okay, so I have the Chiefs at 1 at 14-3. I have the Raiders at 2 at 4-13. I have the Chargers at 3 at 2-15, and I have the Broncos at 4 at 2-15 as well.
Okay, so we're disagreeing. I have some hope for the Broncos. I'm interested in Bo Nix as their quarterback with Sean Payton. And the Raiders, I think, are going to be better. But I'm intrigued with the Broncos, and I have some hope with their quarterback situation with Bo Nix. Chargers, to me, though, they're going to be dealing with a lot. So that's why they're last for me.
Okay.
My question to you is, I guess we will now go into the seedings. Where do you have the Chiefs seated? Are they 1 since you said they're 14-3?
They are 1.
Okay. They're not 1 for me. So I'll do the seeding and then we can go into our playoff predictions. I think let's just say with the AFC, since we've talked about the Chiefs are your number 1. And I'll say my number 1 is the Texans, and then I'll let you finish your seeding, explaining your seeding.
My 2 is the Bengals, also at 14-3. My 3 is the Colts at 13-4. My 4 is the Bills at 11-6. My 5 is the Ravens at 13-4. My 6 is the Texans at 12-5, and my 7 is the Dolphins at 11-6. So the Jets do end up missing the playoffs.
All right. I have the Jets missing the playoffs as well. My question to you is there's a lot of hype into the Texans, and I am buying into that hype with my seeding. What is the reasoning for the Texans not winning their division? And
it's a very tough schedule, and with still young players, I feel like that could be detrimental to their win total. However, you'll see in the playoff prediction that I'm still respecting them as a team.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair given that they are a young team. I was curious if Stephon Diggs was having, and his presence and sort of the questions we've seen in Buffalo starting to come out, if that was having an effect.
I mean, it definitely could. That definitely won't help the young team trying to work through their problems.
All right, so that is your seeding. I have the Texans at 1. It's funny that you have the Bengals winning the AFC North. I have the Ravens. They are my 2. So Ravens at 2 for me. Chiefs at 3. Bills at 4. Bengals at 5. Dolphins at 6. And then Jaguars at 7. And I am curious. For some reason, I have a feeling the Chiefs offense is going to struggle a little bit more. It's not going to be that top offense it was. I do think it will be better than what it was last year, but I know they have more weapons. It's just, to me, I'm not really sure about this offense given Travis Kelce's health. And there, of course, are questions around Rashee Rice, but I'm curious. You have them at 1. Do you think they're going to be the high flying, or close to what that high flying offense was when they had Tyreek Hill?
I do think it's better than last year, pretty significantly, and I do think they still have a top 5 defense in the league next year, and that's really what puts them over the edge.
Okay, so now let's go into our predictions. So I'll say I have the Ravens facing the Jaguars at 7, the Bills facing the Bengals, and then the Chiefs facing the Dolphins. So I have a lot of rematches. Bills and Bengals are when the Bengals sort of dominated. Well, yeah, it was a 17-7 game, I want to say, and they dominated that game, even though it was only 10 points. It wasn't dominated in the scoreboard. It was dominated on the field. And then, of course, you have last year's game between the Chiefs and Dolphins in that incredibly cold weather.
Yeah. So who do you have winning?
So I have the Ravens beating the Jaguars. I have the Bengals upsetting the Bills, and then I have the Chiefs beating the Dolphins.
Okay. My 4 versus 5 is Ravens versus Bills. Bills with obviously the 4 seed. Ravens on the road. I do have the Ravens winning that game. Then it's Colts versus Texans. So that division matchup happens. And I have the Colts who are the 6 seed winning, or not the Colts. I have the Texans who are the 6 seed winning that game against the Colts. So the 2 lower seeds win that game. And then I have the Bengals beating the 7 seeded Dolphins.
So the Chiefs lose in the first round, or they win?
They're not in the first round because they're the 1 seed.
Oh, yeah, got it. My bad. So that explains why I didn't hear him. Okay. So you have Bills advancing. I missed the first team.
No, it's
Or no,
Ravens beat the Bills.
Got it.
Texans
Okay.
beat the Colts and Bengals beat the Dolphins.
That's my bad. Okay. So who do you have facing the number 1 seeded Chiefs?
It would be the Texans.
Okay. All right. I'll let you go over your winners of those matchups.
Okay. Well, I have the Bengals and Ravens matching up, and I had the road team Ravens winning that game, and I have the road team Texans beating the Chiefs.
Okay. I have the Texans facing the Bengals. I have the Bengals upsetting the Texans, and then the Chiefs also upsetting the Ravens. So I have another AFC matchup, AFC championship matchup between the Bengals and Chiefs.
Okay. And who do you have winning that?
So this is the only guy that's been able to beat Mahomes in the playoffs, still in the league. And that, of course, is Joe Burrow. And I have him defeating the Chiefs again, and the Bengals advance to the Super Bowl.
Okay. I have Ravens versus Texans. Ravens at home, and I have the Ravens winning the AFC.
All right. So AFC North champion, AFC North team advances to the Super Bowl in both our predictions. Now we'll go over to the NFC. And I'll say on this, on the AFC, if we get something close to what we both have, to me, that would be an exciting playoffs just from the, I would say, quarterback star power, but you also have some great defensive players on these teams. And it would be a must watch for me in every game for this AFC playoff matchup.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I just want a good playoffs. I want it to be close. I want it to be interesting, and I definitely think they're going to be.
Yeah, NFC sort of leaves some to desired for me, but we'll see what you have happening. I'll go into mine. I have the Falcons facing the Packers as the 4-5 matchup, Cowboys versus Lions, and then Eagles versus Rams.
And who do you have winning those games?
So the Packers upset the Falcons, Lions beat the Cowboys, and the Rams upset the Eagles.
Okay. I have Cowboys at home against the Packers, so it's 4 versus 5. Even though the Packers are 13-4, they are going to Jerry's World. I have the Packers winning that game. And then it's Falcons versus Rams. Falcons at home. I have the Falcons winning that game. And then it's Niners versus Panthers. So the Panthers get into the playoffs, but they lose to the Niners.
All right. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Now I understand. You have the Packers facing the Cowboys once again. That would be super fun for all the Cowboys fans.
Yeah, I'm sure that you would love that.
Yeah. Now I have an NFC matchup in the divisional round. I have the Packers NFC North matchup. Of course, it's an NFC matchup. But I have the Packers facing the Lions, and then another NFC West matchup with the Rams facing the Niners. And I have the Lions beating the Packers and the Niners beating the Rams.
Okay. I have. Go. Okay, so I have Niners against Falcons. Niners are at home. I have the Niners winning that game. And then Lions versus Packers, just like you have, and I have the Lions winning that game.
Okay, so we have Lions versus Niners. We agree on, took different routes, but we agree on the NFC Championship. It's a rematch of last season.
Yeah.
And who do you have winning?
I have the Lions winning.
Ooh. Now we have a disagreement. I have the Niners winning once again.
Okay.
So now my Super Bowl matchup is the Bengals versus the Niners, and yours is
Lions and Ravens.
okay. Ooh. Two gritty football teams.
Very.
Yeah. So I'll let you announce your Super Bowl champion.
I have the Lions winning the Super Bowl.
All right. Okay. Lions fans are maybe shaking. I don't know. Maybe excited. I'm not sure how they are feeling given just the sort of culture and past history of that team. I have the Bengals winning. I have the AFC champion winning. And I don't know. Were we supposed to have a Super Bowl MVP?
You can if you want to.
Okay. I'll just say I'd go easy and I'd go Joe Burrow.
Okay, I go with Amon-Ra.
Ooh, nice. Wide receiver. Be the first time since Cooper Kupp.
Cup.
So not that far. But yeah, so that is our playoff predictions. But it's going to be an exciting NFL season, and we will see how the season predictions stand out as we are getting points for those. And playoffs are just for fun, and we'll see what happens. So I'm really excited for this NFL season to get started. It's going to be really tough, and I'm really excited on what the quarterbacks do because there are a lot of questions about some quarterbacks.
Yeah, you're totally right. It's going to be a very, very interesting year, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait too, and I'll let Austin close this one out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Who do you guys have winning all of your divisions, winning the Super Bowl, and whose predictions do you think are closely resemble yours? And please catch you in our next video.